Vignesh by Phil Wingfield. I have been sponsoring children in India through an organisation by the name of Plan International since 2003. At the time of this tale, my sponsor was a 10-year-old lad by the name of Vignesh. Vignesh lived in Tamil Nadu, which is in the south of the country. Plan encourages contact with sponsored children via letters and cards, and, if you wish, they can facilitate a visit. Sponsors can visit the child they support in person at their home, and I did just that. Hosur, 11th of January 2007. Plan advised us to stay in Hosur, a small town south of Bangalore, where the local Plan India office is located, and they would take us from there. The Plan crew arrive at our hotel in a Raj Rover, an Indian-built 4x4. A well-dressed, middle-aged lady introduces herself as Savithri, the local Plan representative. The driver, for some reason, didn't warrant an introduction. Savithri says it is around 100 kilometres to the lad's village, but will take an estimated 3 hours to drive. The type and condition of the road are often more relevant than the distance. The type and condition of the road are nearly always more relevant than the distance. Hosur soon gives way to rural India, where life looks to be pretty basic. Rude dwellings surrounded by paddy fields worked by man and buffalo dot the countryside. Some stretches of road are in such a state they have the shell-blasted look of a war zone. Initially short-lived, these barely passable sections of highway grow progressively longer and tougher to negotiate, even in our 4x4. The icing on the cake is the local farmer's habit of laying crops in the road for threshing. Our driver takes extra care in these situations. I wonder, are the crops more of a threat than losing an axle to some crater in the road? We come to a stop in a small town market square on market day, but the only wares for sale seem to be sugarcane or goats. Somewhere in this rustic backwater is the Mirada Plan headquarters. Mirada, like Plan, work for the betterment of the disadvantaged, and here, wherever here is, they work together. We find the Mirada office on the edge of town in a small block of new buildings. Mirada here are 5 strong, 3 men and 2 women, headed up by a guy called Surendra. Over tea and snacks, we get to hear about the wide variety of work they do in the area. It is time to head to the village with Savithri, Surendra and 2 of his team to meet Vignesh. I am surprised to experience an attack of nerves. As it turns out, Vignesh's village is a matter of minutes from town. This is going to be something extraordinary. Vignesh stands outside his home with his family, hands clasped together in greeting, and the biggest smile on his face. I jump out and rush to greet them, but Savithri stops me in my tracks. We have to wait for a welcome puja to be performed. Vignesh's mother Kalyani and his sister Samprathani come forward with a stainless steel tray filled with coloured liquid and a variety of leaves. A small firelighter is placed in the tray and ignited. Once lit, the ladies move the tray in a vertical circular motion in front of us. After several passes, the contents of the tray is emptied onto the threshold of the family home. We step over the puddle into the house, and the welcome is complete. I shake hands with everyone. It is not a greeting they are familiar with, but they go with it. Vignesh seems happy, maybe a tad overwhelmed. He isn't the only one. The village is small and basic, as is Vignesh's home. Vignesh and his family live in 3 rooms. A large charpoy occupies the one dedicated bedroom. The charpoy is a simple but comfortable bed consisting of a wood frame strung with rope netting and a thin mattress. The tiny kitchen is used only to prepare and serve food. The cooking is done outside on an open fire. The living room doubles as a dining area and, I suspect, a bedroom. Another charpoy sits outside, and this is the only place it could go. There is no furniture except a shelf unit at the far end holding knickknacks, family photos, images of Hindu deities and a small radio deck and amplifier. The latter is odd, as they have no electricity. In fact, they have no utilities at all. Electricity and running water are things most of us take for granted to the extent that we rarely think about them. Imagine having neither. No lights at night, let alone a TV or computer. No running water, no shower and no toilet. Somewhere in the village there will be a pump or a well, and somewhere else an arrangement for the unmentionables. We don't ask, and pray we don't need to. We gather under a large sheltered porch at the front of the house to escape the sun. Essentially, this is a day for Vignesh, his family, and us. But in a community this small, I imagine our visit became common knowledge pretty quickly. We may be two everyday blokes from England, but there is a distinct possibility that we are the first Westerners to visit this village. Even if not, this is still a big event for this small community, and Vignesh's house is a centre of attention. In the street outside, a crowd gathers. As well as Vignesh, his mother Kalyani and his sister Samprathani and dozens of locals join the party. It is a tad frustrating that I can't communicate directly. I learned a smattering of Hindi, but everyone here speaks Tamil. Your Hindi's no good here, mate. The Maratha Plan crew are on hand, but so many people want to talk to us and ask questions that it's impossible to get to everyone. So V3 ushers everybody back to make room and places 2 chairs in front of the house for myself and Vignesh. It's time for the official giving of gifts, and not the slightest bit embarrassing. I have sweets and biscuits of the family, pens and books for Vignesh's school, and a small cricket set for Vignesh, which is a hit, no pun intended. But you'd be hard-pressed to find any kid on the subcontinent who wouldn't be delighted with such a thing. After the presentation, Keith and I, plus the family and a few friends, make our way to the roof via steps on the side of the house. In full view of everyone below, Keith and I have garlands of different coloured flowers placed over our heads. They are heavier than they look. We bow in thanks to the applause of those assembled below. It's a lovely gesture. To eat, we sit on raffia mats on the floor in the living room. The food is served on plantain leaves and there's no cutlery. But this is the norm and nothing to do with living standards. I thought it strange that Vignesh and his family served us but didn't eat with us. It would have been a bit cramped, but even so. After the meal, V3 announces we are going on a boat trip, which I think is a great idea, until I realise that Vignesh and his family aren't coming with us. And worse still, we are not coming back to the village afterwards. This is it? Seriously? We've only been here a couple of hours. Couldn't they come with us? No. Could Vignesh come with us? No. Couldn't we just stay? Also no. None of these options were a possibility, though I'm not sure why. It's a bit of a downer, to say the least. Well, actually, it's a lot of a downer. I lined everyone up for a last round of photos before we say our goodbyes. I can't believe we are leaving, and I won't see these people again. I waved as we drove off until Vignesh and his family disappeared from view. It's sad, and I don't give a damn about boat trips. I only just met these people, and they showed me a kindness and treated me with a reverence I didn't feel I deserved. Vignesh and his family may not have all the mod cons we take for granted, but they are happy in their lives, which is something that many people in the affluent world find difficult to achieve despite all their material wealth. I was treated with reverence, but it is they who should be revered for making so much of so little and sharing it with us. The memory of Vignesh, his family, and the short time we spent with them will never fade. We drive to what I think was the shore of the Stanley Reservoir. The boat trip turned out to be a coracle trip. 7 of us bobbing about on the water in a giant leaking breadbasket. I feared for my expensive camera kit and my life. The experience was decidedly average, and after that we headed back to Hosur. Taking stock on the return drive, I have mixed feelings. So V3 was very keen to show us any Maratha Plan related institution, project or installation, so we would know what they do and where the money goes. But the actual visit was far too short, and the boat trip a waste of time. Postscript. I continued to support Vignesh until 2009, when Plan UK informed me that the project was coming to an end. Vignesh, his family and their community could stand on their own. Support was no longer needed. I was asked if I wanted to remain in contact with Vignesh, and if I did, Plan would forward contact details. Of course I said yes. But months went by and I heard nothing. I received a new child to sponsor, but nothing came through regarding Vignesh and his contact details. I wrote to Plan to inquire, and they in turn wrote to Mirada. However, when Mirada replied, they said something to the effect that the records were no longer available, as operations had ceased. They apologised, but they could not provide me with any contact details for Vignesh. I could not believe it. Furious, I got straight on the phone to Plan UK and asked them where the Mirada local office was located, as it was a stone's throw from Vignesh's village. If I knew where that was, I could pin down the village online. But Plan UK simply didn't know. Mirada had shut down the project, closed their premises, lost the records, everything was gone, and that was that. All Plan UK could do was apologise. Vignesh and his family, although still where I last saw them, were essentially gone. Fast forward 15 years or so. Vignesh would now be in his mid-20s. There are very few people in India without access to a smartphone, and social media is endemic. I would say there is a high chance that Vignesh is online. I searched the various platforms and messaged people by the name of Vignesh living in the Dharmapuri area, where I believe he lived, as all comms from him came through the Mirada office in Dharmapuri. As yet, I have had no responses. It would help if I could remember his surname, but sadly I can't, and tragically I have discarded the old paperwork. I have never found anyone by the name of Samprathani, Vignesh's sister, and as for his mum, there are just too many Kalyanis to message. You never know. One day I might get a reply, or one day I might just go back and find the place for myself. Vignesh was written and read by Phil Wingfield.